Honestly, I'm tired of repeating the same cycles. I wanna let it go. So here I go, life drop. Starting a new path for my fam. Finding who I am. Speaking life, loving me, even when I fall. Cause life be life in us all. Life be life in us all. Cause life be life in us all. Life be life in us all.
Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Portia O, your host of Life Be Lifin podcast. And I'm here once again with another installment of Life Be Lifin. This episode is not so outlined. It's more so a venting session, okay? But before we get into it, I want to welcome you if this is your first time here. On this podcast, we talk about how life be over here, life in us via all types of situations, relationships, and everyday things we are experiencing, all while in real time healing and learning how to be a better human being. So if that's what you're about, you're in the right place at the right time. Welcome and thank you for being here. Okay, word from our sponsor, Shop Lene. Thank you, Shop Lene. Okay, so hashtag life be life in us all, period. Hey there, hashtag the village. Listen to my babies real quick.
Hey, it's me, Portia, host of Life Be Life podcast. Are you ready for the podcast? Psych, it's me, Leo. Psych, it's me, Micah. Please email my mommy or DM her with whatever you want to talk about. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to her YouTube channel. Because Life Be Life in us all. Bye.
Thank you, Leah and Micah. All right, so I don't have much written down at all. I'm just gonna speak from my heart. And I titled the episode, Been Everything But Focused, okay? And in this segment of This Is Just My Life Experience, I want to start off with this song. Me, can you focus on me? Baby, can you focus on me? On me, can you focus on me? Baby, can you focus on me? Can you focus? I just wanna love you, baby. It's so funny, that song obviously is talking about a significant other, right? Obviously. But for me, I'm talking to myself. Baby, can you focus on me? And I feel like that's what my spirit has been calling out for me to do. And I have not been doing it. This is the most inconsistent I have been when it comes to my podcast in ever of doing my podcast. I will be much more under pressure to get it out, to get it done, especially the first season, because I was recording it like week to week. But that way of doing it can be frustrating, not just for you as the person who is doing the podcast. I'm producing my podcast. I'm doing all the things by myself for my podcast other than editing. And that can also be frustrating for your editor if you outsource it, right? Because they too have lives. And I have my sister cousin that edits for me, and she has a job and a life of her own, right? And so when I am doing it at the last minute, essentially, and wanting a quick return, that doesn't necessarily happen like that often, right? Or it's not fair. It's not fair for me to put myself under that type of pressure, or her, or anybody else, if you're doing this, right? I have this season been like, okay, I'm going to do this like this. Like last season, I did really good about, mass producing episodes. But this season, in my year of resting and being more in tune with what Portia has going on, I have just been taking it as it comes. If we miss, we miss. If I can't get it out on time, it is what it is. And it's not like whatever, forget the people that faithfully come here and listen and all that type of stuff. It has nothing to do with you all at all. I want to be clear. It's more so just me recognizing, as I've spoke about before in the episode, my capacity, and also not carrying that pressure like, oh my gosh, what they gonna do if I don't put it out, right? And I learned that lesson in 2024 for sure. Like, people are gonna be, they are gonna be fine. All is gonna be well. And even if they don't have you, Portia, they will find some sort of help, escape, whatever. Okay? Like, it's not, the point is, it's not on me to carry the world's burden on my shoulders. That's not what God has called me to do. I have been much more lax this season than ever to like get this podcast out. And it's not from a lack of, I don't want to do it. It's just, again, recognizing my capacity as I gear up to do it. I may plan and be like, okay, I'm going to do it this day. And stuff happen. And I allow myself to get distracted. Or I just be like, I don't feel like it. And I don't do it. It's not that I have lacked the words or the unction to. It's just me choosing to not. And so that's one part of it. I still enjoy doing my podcast, and it brings me so much more fulfillment. And it is my virtual diary. I get on here, I divulge how I'm feeling, what I have discovered about myself, what I'm experiencing. And I'm very vulnerable with you all, and I plan to always do that. I know this may sound like I'm ending my podcast, and I'm not. Let me be clear, I'm not. I'm just being transparent about what has happened and is happening with me. And when it comes concerning the podcast. And it's a much bigger picture than the podcast itself, right? Because it's not just here that I'm unfocused. Well, when it comes to putting it out, like whatever. Once I'm in, I'm in. But it's just the overarching theme of my life. And so this past January made 3 years that I have been separated and out of my marriage. And I told you guys that I have seasonal depression, right? We've talked about this before. And what I realized too is that last December, I was intentional about going into that month totally different than I had previous years, and cutting that cycle of my seasonal depression being attached to the end of the year and my birthday and another Christmas and all that type of stuff, right? And I prepared, and I had my healthy coping mechanisms and skills and stuff I tapped into, and I was really ultra prepared. And I took my last 2 weeks off of the year, as I typically do every year. And prior to that, I had did 125 days of working out straight every day. And whilst on my 2-week break, I decided that I was going to rest, not just from work, But from my exercising and everything, I just needed to rest and enjoy the moments, right? That first week, I was nonstop moving. Every single day, I went somewhere and did something with the people that I love, and I enjoyed that. And that second week, I really was intentional about resting once all the holidays and birthdays and things had passed, and really recalibrate and set myself up for this new year that we were entering. And I did pretty good. I think I did amazing. And so we came into January and everything was still great. After my 2 weeks, I was like, Portia, we gotta get back on this horse, girl. We gotta get back to working out. And so I did that first week, amazing. Did my thing, and I was like, ugh. Okay. Because working out is still hard. I enjoy it. I enjoy how it makes me feel afterwards, but it still is mentally a push that I have to like be purposeful about, right? And I think that Sunday, so I follow Transformation Church in Tulsa virtually, obviously because I don't live in Tulsa. But I've been following them for years now. And I watch them every Sunday. And if I miss a Sunday, I watch it that week at some point. But Vision Sunday had came up. And Vision Sunday at Transformation Church is basically the Sunday that Pastor Mike Todd gives out the word of the year that God had gave him for that their church to follow or whatever, like to inspire them to whatever. And so my first time doing this with them was in 2021. And it happened to be the word anchored. And you, for those who don't know, my business was birthed in 2021 and I named it Anchored In LLC. And I just wanted to name it Anchored, okay? But when he gave that word of the year, it was a confirmation for me of something I never really paid attention to before. But at the time, my ex fraternity's symbol was an anchor, like one of the main symbols was an anchor. And I started buying little anchors and stuff to put around the house to like incorporate, you know, his stuff into our style or whatever. And I really fell in love with an anchor, and I started looking up the meaning of anchors and like what, like I knew base knowledge that an anchor holds a ship down and, you know, it's unmovable, like a big trillion-ton ship. This anchor is holding it down. It goes down into the depths of the ocean and whatever and sits there and stays, that the ship cannot move, right? And so I just found that very powerful. I started painting anchors and started looking it up in the Word of God. And then when he gave that word at Vision Sunday, that Sunday, I was like, ooh, confirmation. And when it came time to name my business, it was like, boop, Anchored. Anchored In was what was available. And so that's how I got that. But anyway, I had been following them since then, and the word of the year this year, I was so excited about it because I was like, yes, last year was great, the year before was great. Like, these have been intentional things and things that I've been going through and experiencing, and I was so excited. Like, what is God gonna say this year, right? Not knowing that in 2021, when he gave me the word anchored, it meant so much more to me than just my business, obviously, but just me being anchored. Even, I haven't got my first tattoo yet, but my first tattoo will be here on my arm, and it's going to be an anchor. It is just so profound to me, like how God has been speaking to me through me going to this church virtually. And it really has been feeding my spirit, something that I have lacked for a minute, right? I was super excited about the word of the year, and me and Leah both. So Leah was like, let me know when he announces the word of the year, right? I'm like, okay, cool. So he's building up to it, whatever. And he gets to it and he's like, The word is focus. And the subtitle is Death to Distractions. And I was like, yes, period. Like, we gonna be focused. Because last year, the word of the year was not preparation, but that was just kind of like my overarching theme for 2024. Like, God was preparing me for my future. He was helping me build little building blocks, setting little things into motion to help me get to my ultimate goal in the future. Like, Rome is not built overnight, right? It takes time. And so I understood that all the things that he had me experience and all that I was going through was preparation. And so to hear the word of the year at church is focus. Like, I need you to be focused. You need to kill off the distractions that have been plaguing you or moving you to a point of unfocusedness. And when you think about a camera lens, or even when you're trying to take pictures on your phone, and I don't know if this happens for you guys, for my iPhone, sometimes when I'm trying to take a picture of something and I want it gives like this kind of like blurry glare over it. And I sometimes, and I wanted to really focus in on these small little words, or focus in on this particular person in the picture or whatever. And it kind of gives this like fuzzy view. And you have to kind of maneuver and adjust. And that's what I did. Focus intentionally on what is of importance. Like, okay, you prepared last year. Now let's focus further on what I have given you, what I need you to do, where I need you to go, what more you need to accomplish in this time, so that we can get to the intended goal, to your expected end, right? Jeremiah 4:11, I believe. And so I'm like, yes, I'm pumped. Let's go. We about to focus, period. That was Sunday. Monday, I did everything else other than focus for that week. Sunday begins the week. Monday, I was like depleted instantly. It was such a weird thing because I was just pumped. I was excited. I'm like, yes, we finna hit the ground running. Like, everything I've already been doing. Like, we finna do even more. Like, what? Like, let's do it. You gonna focus. I had made up my budget for the month. I had set up goals, my financial goals of savings. I had readjusted all these things. I was doing all the things. And then that Monday came, and I instantly fell into a depressive episode. I don't even, like, it blindsided me, but actually it didn't, because I knew something was a brewing, but I ignored it because I was just like, no, I'm going to keep focusing on what I'm doing. I've been doing this, Portia, keep working out, keep doing this, keep doing that, but something did happen that kind of caught me off guard. I had a connection that had began the last few weeks of 2024. And it came and rocked me a little bit. Not in the way of, it just kind of threw me off center. It helped to start this like distractive mode. And even though I thought I wouldn't get back to that place, I didn't. I really didn't, if I'm going to be honest. But it still was a distraction from what it was that I was trying to accomplish and what I am accomplishing, right? But it was fun. It was exciting and meaningful for the moment, right? But I think with stuff like that, and that's where started my thoughts of like, this is why God has me in this season of seclusion, because I so easily get distracted by the little bit of a possibility of connection and attention and whatever it is that I'm like really, really desiring, or I feel like I'm lacking, right? That was no further than the truth. But I felt that way. And I kind of beat up on myself because I'm like, Portia, this is why you're still in this waiting season, because you're not ready to receive fully. You just proved in this that, oh, like I didn't got so caught up that I'm missing the mark of all the other things that I needed to be focusing on. And that wasn't true. But I spent a lot of negative time in that space. And that is what kickstarted the whole depressive episode for me. But I didn't recognize it fully. Like I recognized it, but I wasn't like putting two and two together. Like this is going to avalanche down, 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 down into something that is much more deeper than what I was really experiencing. Another thing that I've discovered along this journey is that because I've spent so much time being negative and dwelling in a negative space, it is so easy to go default back to that space. But the new, improved, grown, evolved Portia is constantly combating that. And so I always feel like it's a tug of war going on within me. And that in itself is exhausting. And what I was beating myself up on, and I didn't need to because God confirmed that for me. Like, no, you are ready. You are ready to receive the love and connection that you desire. And it's not you. It's really not you. It's the balancing of it all. But I'm really, and I have been really exhausted. And I say that all the time. And I think before I was really thinking like physically, I'm just tired. I'm always tired. I always want to rest. I always want to take breaks. I always want to, even though I don't do it, or I used to really didn't do it for sure, but I wanted to, like the desire was there. My anniversary of my separation and disconnection of my covenant was coming up. And that's another thing I hadn't paid attention to. Like, and I guess it was an avoidance to an extent, or I was trying to suppress it, but it was like a looming cloud over my head. Like this date is coming up, that it will be officially 3 years since I left my home. And even though I'm still going through this process of this divorce and all the things, I think I just had been like, it's almost over. It's almost over. So no need to dwell on the anniversary date, right? Like this is almost done. I'm meeting people. I'm connecting with new people. There are potentials or situations happening. And not that this is all hyper focused or hooked up on me being in a romantic relationship. It's not that. It's just like, I feel like so much time has elapsed and passed, and the reality of it being 3 years is like, man, like I've been going through this for a minute and it's my time, or I feel like it should be my time for me to move forward, right? But time is an illusion. And I'm trying not to be like all over the place, but this is just how my brain works. And I'm like, this is why I outline, because I need to keep myself in order and in track, but on track. But this is just an open diary moment or journaling moment with you all, just venting about how I've been feeling and what's been going on with me, and the realizations that I have come across. And so, you know, time is an illusion, and what may seem like 3 years to me may be a drop in the bucket, a second for God. And so while I'm sitting up here trying to place my expectations and desires up on God's timeline, like, why? Why? I started to spiral emotionally, but also I was holding on for dear life. And I just realized, like, my tiredness, my exhaustion is not from like physically doing things all the time. It's an emotional exhaustion. And healing is very exhausting. Healing and feeling your feelings, dealing with your stuff, your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, constantly questioning yourself, being extremely self-aware. And I'm not even questioning myself fully, like, are you doing the right thing, Portia? Like, or second guessing myself. I am and I'm not, but it's not coming from I would like to believe it's not coming from a negative space. But again, dwelling in a negativity for so long, what other space is it coming from? And it was like I kept seeing things throughout these last few weeks on social media and stuff like that. And it's like, talk to yourself nice. Be careful how you talk to you. Just like we don't want anybody else out here talking to us crazy, mistreating us, doing us any kind of way. Why do you do it to yourself? This is all a self-evaluation, expression, and like just being in that space all the time is exhausting. I'm always trying to curate my words and my thoughts, my feelings, to be as authentic as possible. But even in my authenticity, I am finding that it is so hard for me to mask anymore, to go back to the people pleasing ways, like to not say what's on my mind and what's on my heart, even though it may affect someone else in a negative sense, which is not a problem. That's healthy. But it's exhausting to be in that position because you feel misunderstood and alone, essentially, because the majority of the people around you are not on the same path as you are. It becomes very tasking and daunting, which leads to the exhaustion. And even with myself, and even if I didn't deal with other people, I am exhausted in myself. Me all by myself is enough. Okay? It was like, yes, let's focus. And then I reconnected with people. I started to avoid my feelings when it came to my marriage, and started to put out of sight, out of mind into place, started to whatever, I could take another break from working out. It's just gonna be one day, then the next day come. It's just another day. And then the next day come. Okay, I worked out this day, but then the next day come. I'm gonna take another break. Like, I started to just slump into this mode of, I'm just gonna sit here. And I even gave the excuse that I was like resting, knowing the mandate that I have, knowing it's the top of the year. I've been doing research for my business. I've then set goals, and I'm not doing any other things to accomplish them. School's gonna start back in a few weeks. I still got time. Like, I'm just about to chill. I'll overwhelm myself when that time comes, instead of being purposeful with the time that I currently have. I just suppress, repress, avoid it, and boom. Depression episode. I recognized it. And I was like, okay, Portia, you got a few more days to just mope and be in this moment and be in this space. After that, you got to get up. You got to get back to it. You got to do the things. And irregardless if it's right now or, like all at once, or if it's going to be over time, right? And that's something my therapist tells me all the time. Like, girl, stop trying to do all the things at once, right? Which is what I planned on doing. When I start back school on that Monday, I'm going to get back into doing all my content, my podcast, my business stuff. I'm going to do all the things all at once. I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to be purposeful. But I needed to address my feelings. I needed to be honest with what was going on. I needed to see what kind of snowballed me into this space. And I've named all the things. And there I was. And so I decided, I had listened to church again that following week. And I decided that I needed to do something to close the doors to distraction. Distracting me from focus. Even that subtitle kind of like, death to distractions. That means I'm going to have to cut out a bunch of stuff that I just picked back up. And like, man, do I really want to do that? But I know it's necessary. I know that it's a part of the journey. I know that's what I have to do if I want a different outcome. Okay? And so I proceeded to do something for myself that I typically don't do. This is where pulling myself out of this depressive episode comes into play. And it just can be something so simple, such a one singular thing that can get you out of this rut, right? And so I decided that I was going to buy me a new bedding set, like comforter set. Quick thing about me, I rarely treat myself to things that I don't feel that I deserve, if that makes sense. So something so simple as buying a comforter set, that's easy, that's simple, whatever. People do it all the time. I rag on my mom about buying a comforter set. I always wanted that as a gift for Christmas and all type of stuff. Like, she got so freaking many. Like, girl, it ain't that serious. It ain't that deep. But what I've realized about Portia is that I minimize things that I may really desire because I don't feel that I'm in a place to acquire them. And if I don't, and so I'll minimize it like it's not that important to have, right? And so I made myself okay with this by buying me and invested into this one white down comforter that I love dearly. Like, I adore it, okay? But down comforters come in all types of colors and styles and varieties, right? But I was hyper focused on this white down comforter that if that's the only comforter that I have, I'm okay with just having that one because I love it so much. It's cool, it's comfortable, it's fluffy, it's all the things. Of course, I change my sheets all the time. I could put my white comforter with any color sheets. It's not a big deal, right? And so I minimized my desire of having more because I didn't feel worthy enough to acquire it in the moment. Two, I'll have this one and be satisfied with that because, that's enough. That's all you need, Portia. You don't need any more. And so I have plenty of comforter sets saved in my carts and different websites and things I would love to have. But the money that I would spend on it, I could spend it on something else. Spend it on food in the house. I could spend it on my kids. They always need something. Always, okay? So, push you and your desires to the back burner, Portia, for that. Like, that's not of importance. You don't need that. And so I have been eyeing this one and I saved it. And I'm just going to say it was God that even put it in my peripheral. And so I'm like, oh, this is really nice. And I'm reading the script. This is really cute. This is really nice. It's giving what it needs to give. Like, I would love something like that. And I also been like minimizing my desires because I'm like, when I get my house, then I can have these things, right? Which is another thing I've been working on. Because why do I have to wait until my environment changes in order for me to create a beautiful, warm, loving, cozy, comfortable setting? I don't have to wait for that. God has blessed me with this beautiful apartment that I currently have. And even though the space isn't what I truly desire, I still can make it cozy, warm, comfy, right? I talked about this in a previous episode. And so I decided, you know what, Portia? We're going to buy this comforter set. And I think it will bring me some semblance of joy. So I bought it. And I bought it through Amazon. It came the next day. And it was here like early, wee hours in the morning. And so when I took my kids to the bus stop, I went to pick up the package. And I brought it back upstairs. I opened it up. I put it in the washer. I washed it, and then I put it on my bed. Throughout the day, I was just putting piece by piece on my bed and my pillows and everything. And it was just bringing me joy. And I was like, oh, this is so pretty. And oh, this is so nice. Like, I was super excited. And I needed that in that moment because I had been so frazzled and detached, and I was detached but not detached, and it was just like a lot going on with me emotionally and mentally, and I needed that to kind of like ground me back. And so I did, and it did bring me joy, and I was so excited to sleep in my bed that night. And all the rest of that week, I was just extremely excited to sleep in my bed, and I had the best sleep ever. I was like drooling and all. Okay, don't judge me, judge your mama. Listen, it was just everything that I needed and more, just for something so simple. A simple thing that I desired, that I had been pushing to the side and minimizing myself, something that was in my control. Let's talk about that, okay? Because me seeking connection and companionship and in a true sense of the way that I desire it is something that is in my control, but I can't make people be who I want them to be. So that is out of my control, right? And see, the outside may look the way that I want it to, and the intellect may be what I want it to be, but what I have found, and most times, that the emotional connection isn't there or the way that I desire. And again, that's not in my control. But what is in my control is me buying a bed set to help me feel better, to have something to look forward to with it being delivered. Once it got here, for me to experience it and enjoy it and really pamper a part of me that needed to be pampered. That was in my control. I can easily take care of myself. I can easily do for myself with the things that God has blessed me with. I don't have to minimize my desires because I feel like they're too great for where I am. That's nothing. That's small potatoes. But we maximize things and give weight to things that we shouldn't. And I'm just glad that I did make that purchase and it did kickstart me back to where I needed to be. I was very productive every day of that week. I did all the things that I set out to do. And I didn't look forward to anyone else having something for me to look forward to. I just looked towards myself, my desires, God's will, His purpose for me. And it's, I write on my mirror in my bathroom with a dry erase marker different things that God says to me that sits with me and sticks with me. And when I got that word of the year, I changed my mirror saying to focused. I wrote that in all caps on my mirror. And then I wrote, I am confident. We are evidence. You are faithful. You are God. Which is a song from Transformation Church, Transformation Worship. And it's called Evidence. And that song has been so cornerstone to my existence lately. And so I wrote those lyrics there to remind myself I'm focused. Focus, Portia. Just focus. And also to remind myself that I am confident in that I am, in all that I've been through, and all that I have experienced, and all that I am experiencing, and I feel so heavily about everything that God has allowed to happen to me, through me, for me, is evidence. I am evidence that He is faithful and that He is God. So no matter what, if I stay focused in that, if I remind myself, if I remember in those times that I feel less worthy, undeserving, unequipped, unworthy, that I am evidence. I am evidence that He is a faithful God. Because I wouldn't be where I am today if He wasn't. It was important for me to experience that. And I know, we don't want to be in depressive episodes, right? But I needed to see the steps. I needed to see how I allow myself to get there. It was all in my control in the way that I process things, how I handle things, how I'm so aware. It was necessary, and the result came as it was because of the choices that I made. And then, lo and behold, God gave me another choice, another chance, another opportunity to make a difference, to do different in this thing called life. And something so simple as choosing to buy that comforter set catapulted me out of that depressive episode. And it wasn't all at once. It was a process, building blocks of getting up out of there. That was the first step. Then I started to clean. Then I started to do. Then I started to focus. It's just little things. Got back to working out. Little things. I'm grateful. If I have nothing else to look at or towards, I can always look at my life. And even the fact that I'm still here another day is evidence that God is faithful and that He is God. I still have purpose. I still have value. I still am worth all that He had said I was prior to that depressive episode, prior to making connections, prior to, He knew me before I was in my mother's womb. And I get so ashamed at times that I feel like I'm disappointing Him when I have these moments. But I feel like He allows me to have these moments so that I can recognize how strong I really am. Because Portia of past wouldn't have even had this much self-reflection in the midst. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm in this space. And even though I may not have everything I desire, I do have everything that I need. I've been everything but focused. But also, I'm getting back. I am getting back slowly but surely. And it's okay. It's okay if we have moments of unfocus. It's okay. We can easily adjust and get back. God is not penalizing us for having these moments. Sometimes these moments last a little longer than a few days or a week, right? But I think it's important that we be so self-aware of who you are and why you're showing up this way. It's nobody else's fault that you are showing up the way that you're showing up because you have control of you. Nobody else can control you. You have control of you. And I thank God for the ability to control the controllables. And what isn't in my control is always and forever will be in God's control. With that being said, let's look at one of my life coaching videos. Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Portia, your host of Lifin Podcast and your life coach. I am here to help you along your healing journey with a few things you may be experiencing while seeking a life coach. Today's focus is a desire, which is a long-term well-being of oneself. Do you have the feelings of being stuck, overwhelmed, or uncertain about your future? Imagine having a trusted guide to help you navigate your journey to long-term well-being. A life coach can help you set clear and achievable goals and provide support and accountability you need to stay on track. Together, you will uncover your passions, identify your strengths, and create a personalized plan for lasting fulfillment. Sustainable mental and emotional health is the ultimate aim for those working with a life coach. So start your transformation today and take the steps to a more brighter and balanced future. Your best life awaits you while
Life be life in us all. Life be life in us all.
All right. Now we're going to our last segment, which is Speak Life. This is the segment where I leave you with a call to action for you, but not just for you, but for myself as well. So I'll leave you with these words to hold on to until next time. Today's Speak Life affirmation is, I believe God is faithful and I will be focused. Again, today's Speak Life affirmation is, I believe God is faithful and I will be focused. You heard it, you say it, you write it down, and remind yourself to speak that thing and make it happen, because life be life in us all. I love you all dearly. Thank y'all for being a part of my vending session. And I hope that something was said that touched your heart as much as it touched mine. And above all else, to know that you're not alone and God is still faithful, even when you're unfocused. Love you. Have a wonderful day.